Good morning, everybody. I just woke up. Let's make a Feral Druid guide. Good morning, everybody, or evening, or afternoon, or whatever it is where you are. Today I'll be recording my Feral Druid RBG talents, etc. guide. I'll be going over 8 things that I wrote down. I have a list here that I'm holding, so if my arm looks weird, it's because I'm holding paper. It'll be race choice, PvP talents, regular talents, Soulbind, Conduits, legendary, stats/gear, and the opener or any extras at the end. That'll probably be melded into about 5 or 6 things, so it's not so long. This time I'm going to shoot through everything pretty quickly since I don't play Feral Druid in more than 2 battlegrounds. But yeah, let's get started. If you're going to be making a Feral Druid or Druid in general for the first time, I recommend one of 2 races. If you're going to be the Alliance, I recommend Night Elf, as you get Shadow Meld, which is essentially an in-combat stealth, which allows you in any form to stealth. It's on a 2-minute cooldown, I believe, but it is super useful when you're just running through the world and you want to just get out of combat real fast. Boom. It will break on dots just like most stealth does for a druid, so just think about that. The other thing is, when you're dead, you move as a wisp instead of your regular body, so it's a little bit faster when you're dying inevitably out in the world. But that's for the Alliance's Night Elf. They're, I think, the best race just because it's Shadow Meld. But if you're going to go Horde, you go Tauren because of War Stomp and your increased stamina. This helps you when you're a bear. You get a little more HP in total, and then for your War Stomp, it's on a cooldown that you stomp and you get a stun. So it's an additional CC that you can use for openers or for your middle of the road. If you use Convoke the Spirits and your Skull Bash is all on cooldown, you War Stomp, and that's another stun that you're going to get out of somebody. So those are the two races that I would select. Now you can be Cold Terran, you can be Worgen. I forget they exist because their ratios are terrible. Worgen, you get an extra speed increase. For Cool Tyrann, you get extra versatility, I think it's just 1% straight off the bat, and then you can get a punch that you can do, which is cool, but Night Elf is what you want to go with Alliance. On the Horde side, High Mountain Tauren, I've never played one. I've seen some running around because they have the big moose antlers, but I don't know enough about them to talk to you about them. Troll gives you the Berserk, and then Zandalari Troll gives the Regenerating, which gives you essentially 100% heal that, it's CCable, so that's better for a pally or whatever. And then you can have your own little kite that you can do with your Pterodax, and then you can get one of 5 or 6 Loas that you'll give you a little extra. I don't think it really matters, but everybody, Tauren, Night Elf, pick one. We're going to start off with the PvP talents for Feral Druid. When I'm out in the open world, I use Leader of the Pack, Wicked Claws, and Thorns. This is kind of just my go-to normal world PvP stuff. When I'm on RBGs, Leader of the Pack doesn't change. You get 5% extra crit within 40 yards of you. Every time somebody crits, they get a 5% heal on themselves. That also, I think, hits you. I'm not the best Feral Druid in the world, so find another guide, I suppose. But it's every 8 to 10 seconds or so it can go off. But that is almost a default pick. I don't move off of Leader of the Pack. Wicked Claws is not a mortal strike. But it comes from infected wounds, so you're essentially keeping a mortal strike on targets. So that helps when you're against. I mean, if I play Feral Druid in carts. Hello, other Night Elf. I play Feral Druid in the Mines map, and I'll keep Wicked Claws when I'm, off with the other cart person, or maybe there's 2 or 3 of us and we don't have a Mortal Wounds effect. So I'll take that just so that I can go in and get extra damage and reduced healing on the targets that we're fighting against. If it's 2-on-2 or 2-on-3 or even 1-on-1, take away their healing. Thorns is also a help to you and damage to the other player. So essentially, if somebody hits you while you have thorns on that's melee, they'll take damage as they're hitting you. So essentially, they're hitting you, they're getting hit back, and they also have their movement speed slowed. So those are the 3 default that I use. Sometimes I will swap to, in no particular order, but mostly taking Wicked Claws out. I'll take Ferocious Wound, which essentially, when you hit a 5 combo point Ferocious Bite, it reduces their health by 5% for half a minute. You can do it twice, so it can get up to 10% off of their maximum health. So that's just, more damage to the person. It takes their total health into consideration. So it takes their total health down by 10%, which isn't awesome. I mean, with as much health as we're having now, that's 5k-ish. So it's not the best thing in the world, but I do use it sometimes. And then I also use Strength of the Wild, which when I'm, again, in mines or something, and I need to heal my extra person, so I'll heal with Regrowth, and then it gives you a 30% increased crit strike on the first, the first heal that's used. It'll give them 30% chance to critically heal that person. And then for the next 6 seconds, it's 50% faster to use it. So if you regrowth on one person, it hits, it's faster by 50% for 6 seconds. So you just get, 2 or 3 regrowths off on you, your partner that's over there in the cart with you. That's, that's what it's for. You also get a maul in bear form, which I don't even think I have on my bars anymore. That's as often as I use it. But you get maximum health by 15% as a bear. You also have a maul that you can do more damage with while you're in bear form. So you're not just using these 2 things. You have another little hit that you can use. I only use 5. It's Leader of the Pack, Ferocious Wound, Wicked Claws, Strength of the Wild, and Thorns. High Winds is great as a balanced druid. I don't know that I've ever used it as a feral druid because I don't really leave cat form unless I'm in bear form or to heal. Everything's going so fast. I don't really get out of cat form, or enough to use it. Everything. I mean, if you're going to run the flag, you might use Malorn's Swiftness. Like if you're not a tank but you're told to carry the flag, use that because you can't have your movement speed slowed below 100%. But I mean, those 5 are the ones that I use. Next, I'll be going over my regular talents. Most of them don't change too often. A few that do change are in the middle, but I'll go over those real fast. So firstly, I take Sabertooth. Predator is not viable in any content for PvP. Sabertooth or Lunar Inspiration. I know most people are using Lunar Inspiration, but most people are Necrolord. That gives you an extra dot that goes along with your Necro Covenant abilities and stuff. So that's something that you would use if you're Necrolord. Sabertooth, you get 20% increased ferocious bite damage, and its rips increased by a second for every combo point that's attached. On the level 25 row, you've got Wild Charge, which is pretty much the only one that I take. You can take Renewal if you need a big heal from anything. I don't take it. I use Wild Charge. Level 30 talents, this is where I do any changes that I make. I don't use Balance Affinity. Guardian Affinity gives you damage reduced by 6%, and you get Frenzied Regen and Incap Roar. Incap Roar is a quick way to get into bear form when you're up against a bunch of people. You can Incap Roar, Frenzied Regen, get a little bit of health, get into bear form, get some armor. And Restoration Affinity, I only use this affinity when I need to take Ursol's Vortex. I find that my Predatory Swiftness procs for regrowth give me enough heals throughout not a match, but throughout an RBG, that I can either heal myself with regrowth regularly or just get my Predatory Swiftness procs. I don't need to go into Resto Affinity unless I'm going to be on Temple, or I need to use Vortex to keep people behind me. 35, you'll switch a lot as well. Mighty Bash if you need an extra interrupt. Stun, it depends on the situation. Mass Entanglement, again, something that I would take in Temple to keep people rooted behind us. I don't take Heart of the Wild. 40, I don't change. I know Savage Roar was good at one point. I don't know that people are still taking Savage Roar. Nobody's taking Incarn, because Soul of the Forest is just that good. You get an extra 5 energy per combo point spent. You get 5% increased damage. So like you're just getting more damage on your finishing moves, which is what you're building up to. So Soul of the Forest. At the level 45 talents, Brutal Slash. This Primal Wrath is a PvE talent. I don't think many people take it. Sin of Blood, you don't take that either. Brutal Slash is just an AoE damage. I tend to get a bunch of extra combo points out of Brutal Slash. You strike all the enemies with a massive slash, you get 2,500 physical damage, and then it reduces beyond the 5 target range, just like everything does now. It's less energy than your other abilities, and you get 3 stacks of it, so you can just boom, boom, boom if you need to. I mean, it's quick, it's AoE, it's useful to get damage on multiple people. So this Brutal Slash. The last one, nobody takes Moment of Clarity anymore. It's the one that I loved from BFA. I just want that extra energy, but it's not viable. This expansion, Feral Frenzy is what I take, and it seems to be between that and Blood Talons. I think if you were to go Necrolord, go with Lunar Inspiration and Blood Talons, you could probably get away with using Blood Talons, because that just, it makes your next rip or Ferocious Bite 30% increased if you have those 3 combo point generating abilities. So I mean that's pretty good, but Feral Frenzy just gives you an extra go. Like I'll quickly throw this in there as well. I'll pause this real quick and go to a training dummy and show you what Feral Frenzy does. So we're looking at Feral Frenzy in a target dummy. So I'm just going to regularly, I'll rake, I'll rip, I'll use my cooldowns, which I'm not going to do, but then Feral Frenzy immediately gives you your 5 combo points that you have to have. You can Feral Frenzy into a Ferocious Bite. It's always what I use it for. So I'll open, cooldown, Feral Frenzy, Ferocious Bite, and that's one immediate go. But that's why I take Feral Frenzy. Next up is your stat priority and gear / legendaries. For stat priority, Mastery is your go-to. Obviously, you want to get as much versatility as you can. Versatility should be on every piece of gear that you have. But one-on-one Mastery is the go-to. It's damage increased from your bleeds and your finishing moves. It's a damage buff. So Mastery is your number 1. You want about 8 to 10% haste, just so your cooldowns don't take so long to turn over. Not cooldowns isn't the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. You don't want 2% haste, you don't want 5% haste. Right around 9% is where you're looking for. Then Critical Strike, you could honestly stick with 15%. I just have, it's kind of filtered out to the gear that I have. It's giving me 20% Critical Strike. That's fine. You're still getting, I think, 175% benefit of Critical Strike instead of 200 in PvP. So you just get extra crit heals and extra crit for damage. That's 20%. This is kind of your normal. Again, this could be 15. This could be 8 to 10. This could be, 45? I don't know that I can even get to 45, but 40 is what I've seen is kind of like the pinnacle of everybody. And then versatility, 35 to 37 to 38%. Legion speed honestly don't matter, but that's your stat priority. I wanted to show you, along with the Mastery being our top stat priority, why I use Naya and the Night Fae Covenant. Convoke for 30 seconds gives you an additional 23%. For me, I believe it's actually 16%. No, I'm sorry, Mastery is increased by 400. Your health is 16%, so boost your health up, but you get 63% Mastery for 30 seconds every minute if you use it on cooldown. That's a lot of Mastery. That's a lot of damage. When you're looking at gear, again, just look for things that have Mastery, Critical Strike attached to it. There are some pieces that you don't have that option, so you'll get haste. So a few of these, Verse and Mastery, Crit and Versatility, Verse and Mastery on the Lego, which by the way is Celestial Spirits, Night Fae Legendary, your Cooldown of Convoke the Spirits is reduced by 50%. Duration is reduced by 25%, so it's a minute cooldown. It's only 3 seconds instead of 4, but you use an increased exceptional spell more often. So I see a bunch more Ferocious Bites. I see some Feral Frenzies. It's really useful. If you were Necrolord, you would be using Drought of Deep Focus to get your dots to go faster. That's why you use Lunar Inspiration on Necrolord, but that makes your dots go 40%. 40% increased damage. I mean, when double legendaries come out for 9.2, I'll be using this and the headpiece, the Eye of Fearful Symmetry. I don't think I have. I think it's in my bank. Yeah, but it's essentially every time you Tiger's Fury, your finishing moves give you 2 combo points instead of 1. So like you'll open, you'll rake, you'll rip, do your cooldowns, hit Feral Frenzy, Ferocious Bite. It'll immediately give you 5 because your Berserk also gives you combo points. So it'll give you another 5. You can immediately Ferocious Bite again. You do it 3 or 4 times in a row, honestly, and you'll just get a massive opener for some people out of stealth. But yeah, two-handed weapon, master or verse and haste. The enchants are your normal agility enchants. You got your, where it starts on your back with stamina and speed increase, just your primary stats. I have intellect for balanced druid as my off specs, and for revelation, gathering. Your hearthstone is, I think, on your boots. That's agility. I think if you didn't have agility, it would be your Shadowland hearthstone or whatever. But gem for versatility and mastery. I mean, I enchant for versatility, I gem for mastery and versatility. I think I've used more mastery now because I've reached my versatility cap, but that's your stats and your gear and your legendary. We'll move on to Covenants. For your Soulbind, you'll be using Naya as Grove Invigoration, and Bonded Hearts is OP. I won't go over them, you can look on Wowhead, but this is the normal route that I'll go. Sometimes you switch here if you need a little more healing for regrowth and frenzied regen. Normally I interrupt enough to where I get the benefit of poison, but this is the normal route that I would go for Naya. I'm using Carnivorous Instinct, which is just a bonus for Tiger's Fury damage. I use Born of the Wilds for Mighty Bash, so my rogue 30 or 45, whichever it is, my talents to be reduced for the cooldown. Well-honed Instincts, you just auto pop frenzied regen. Taste for Blood, your Ferocious Bite increases your damage for each bleed. So if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bleeds, including Thresh, you can get an additional 16% damage. And then we Conflicts of the Elements. Obviously, you want your Convoke to do 30 more damage and healing, so that's that. And then your Timeless Pursuit, I use this, and sometimes I swap to front of the pack if I'm want to get that Stampeding Roar for everybody and get a little more Stampeding Roar. But this tends to give me more benefit when I'm running the flag for both Bear and Feral Druid. So this is kind of, if I'm going to move to Bear, I'm just going to switch over 2 things and the rest I'll keep. So this is a benefit for both specs that I use. Those are the Conduits and the Soulbind. What I'll be doing now is just quickly going over the opener that would vary depending on which legendary you're using. I'm not going over the Drought Deep Focus, I'm not Necro, but for the Eye of Fearful Symmetry, and then the the Night Fae legendary, which is the Celestial Spirits. Just the difference between them, because like with Eye of Fearful Symmetry, just kind of watch. Cooldowns, boom, there's 1. Then I use that to get an extra bleed. Then Ferocious Bite. I'm already up to 4 again. Ferocious Bite again. 2 more. Ferocious Bite. That's 4 Ferocious Bites in a 15 seconds. I could get 5 or 6 of them in a 30-second marker. Let's see, can I get to 5 or 6? at 31 seconds. You get 5 ferocious bites. It's just that the legendary makes your combo points happen so often. Like you get ferocious bite, you get to 4 combo points already because of your cooldown. I could use Tiger's Fury and done it again because 30 seconds had passed. But I love the Eye of Fearful Symmetry. I love this legendary. That was what I used in 9.1 before they brought 9.0 maybe, before they brought out Celestial Spirits. When I switch to 9.2, I'll be using both of them because you'll get the benefit of having the lower cooldown Convoke and the extra ferocious bites that you'll be getting. Wanted to wait for all my stuff to come back off cooldown so I could see how much actual damage I do within the first 30 seconds of using Eye of Fearful Symmetry. So if we stealth and let's start the timer when I hit. Move this up here so I can keep an eye on it. But when we hit it. Ready? Wrong button. Move up a little bit. I heal, then I bash, then I Convoke. Then I get another ferocious. Boom. Refresh. Hit. And then I've kind of slowed down. 30 seconds. Okay, stop. That's where that is. And I'll move over to Convoke momentarily. And here we'll look at the Convoke Legendary Opener. It's the same minus the extra ferocious bites that you'll end up getting. So, we stealth to get the stun in, jump in, start the timer. There's your cooldowns, there's Feral Frenzy, Ferocious Bite. You don't get all 4. So you've got to build back up if you want to. Then you get it, then you stun, then you Convoke. Build back up to 5 combo points, you get a bunch of bites in there, you bite again, and then you continue to go. I mean, it's less damage overall in the very, very opening of it, because I've got 26 seconds. It goes up to 800k or something. We'll stop and we'll compare damage. I will say that Glyph of Ursal and, or is it Ursoc? I don't remember. Ursal Chameleon and the Glyph of Feral Chameleon are super neat because you don't have to stay the same form. Like if I wanted to be Fire Druid for half a second, I could be. I could be the Magical Tiger, and then I swap to generic cat with shield arm things. Bear is the same thing. That could be not as cool as Fairwear Bear, Fair Bear. And then I could swap to good old white-haired night elf bear, back to cat form, and a different bear form, and a different cat form, and a different bear form. Yeah. There you have it. Hopefully this was short and sweet-ish, not as long as the other two that I did, because I don't play Feral Druid in many RBGs except for Temple of Kotmogu sometimes and Silver Shard Mines. There will be a card that pops up somewhere in the middle of the video that links to murloc.io, which will give you the information if you're looking for Necrolord Feral Druid information. If you want to go that route. I'd play Night Fae because I'm a bear, and that's what bear uses. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for showing up and hanging out. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. See you next time.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Feral Druid RBG guide. I'll kind of be doing it like I did for the Balanced Druid and the Bear. So sit back, relax, and we'll get into it. This is my warrior, not my druid. Good start. Generic, oh hey, didn't see you there. Intro. Oh. Welcome to my Feral Druid guide. Didn't see you there. Let's convoke the spirits. Eventually I'll get this done. First and foremost, if you're going to be creating a new character and you want to make a druid, there are 2 races that I recommend. Number 1 is what I use for the Alliance's Night Elf. You get the ability to stealth yourself out of stealth. Nope. Can't remember what the Tauren ability is called, so I'm going to have to do this over again. I thought this would be a pretty nice place to do my outro, but then I keep having this druid walk into my butt. And then these, I don't know what you'd call them, these guys keep running this way. So every time I'd record, it just like, hey, what's up? Ha ha ha, this is funny. And then another druid would come up in my butt. So I didn't do my outro here. I forgot that I destroyed this legendary. So I had to make it again. Now I've got to apply a gem to it. So, dab on everybody. I've been trying to get Firecat form for like 15 minutes. It's happened. Won't show up again for 3 years. Chameleon glyphs.